I know you don't understand, but he needed me, she said after selling the ring I proposed with to help her ex pay off his debt. So I left, taking nothing with me. A year later, she's standing in front of me with nothing left, and I finally understood what she was trying to rescue all along. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. My name is Mark, and for years, my life was a quiet, steady climb. I wasn't flashy or wild. I was the guy who paid his bills on time, remembered birthdays, and believed that a strong, stable foundation was the most romantic thing you could build. I'd been with Sarah for 5 years. She was a whirlwind of beautiful chaos, a painter with a restless spirit, a history of dating what she called projects, men who were always on the verge of greatness or ruin. I was her anchor, her safe harbor. She often told me I was the kindest man she'd ever met, and I took that as the highest compliment. I had been planning the proposal for months. I didn't want a cookie-cutter ring. I wanted something that felt timeless and full of meaning. I spent weekends at antique shops and small jewelers, poring over stones and settings. I ended up finding a stunning vintage ring from the 1920s, a delicate filigree design with a modest but perfectly cut center diamond. It wasn't flashy or massive, but it was elegant and had a story. I'd spent a significant portion of my life savings on it, but I didn't care. It was for her, for us. I planned a quiet evening at our place. I cooked her favorite meal, had her favorite wine, and set up candles around the living room. The air was warm and smelled of roasted garlic and roses. When we finished dinner, I told her to close her eyes. My heart was thumping a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I got down on one knee, took the velvet box from my pocket, and opened it. "You can open your eyes now," I whispered. She did, and for a moment, her face was a masterpiece of surprise and something else I couldn't place. Her eyes flickered from the ring to my face, then back again. I saw a micro-expression, a tiny twitch of disappointment, a flicker of something that looked like contempt. But then she smiled, a wide, bright, beautiful smile, and all my doubts vanished. "Mark," she said, her voice catching. "It's perfect." "Yes. 1,000 times, yes." I slid the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly. We spent the rest of the evening talking about our future, our plans, our dreams. I was floating. I was engaged to the woman of my dreams. A few weeks went by, and the ring became a part of her. She wore it every day, showed it off to her friends, and posted a picture of it on social media. I felt like the luckiest man alive. Then, I noticed it was gone. It was a Tuesday evening. I came home from work, and Sarah was on the sofa, scrolling on her phone. Her finger was bare. My stomach dropped. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "Where's your ring?" She didn't look up from her phone. "Oh, I had to get it resized. It was a little big." I nodded, though a small knot of unease formed in my gut. It hadn't seemed big. The next day, the ring still wasn't on her finger. I didn't want to nag, so I waited. Days turned into a week. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Sarah," I said one night as we were getting ready for bed. "The ring. The jeweler said it would only take a day or two to resize." She sighed, putting her phone down. She sat on the edge of the bed and refused to meet my eyes. "Mark, I didn't get it resized. It's not with the jeweler." "Okay," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "Then where is it?" She took a shaky breath. I sold it." The words hit me like a physical blow. "You sold it?" I repeated, my brain struggling to process the sound. "Why? Was there a problem with it? We could have gotten another one. A different one, if you didn't like it." "I sold it for a reason, Mark," she snapped, standing up. The calmness in her voice was gone, replaced by a defensive anger. "He needed me. He was in trouble." My mind raced. "He? Who is he?" She hesitated, but then the words poured out of her in a rush of desperate justification. "Chris, my ex. He got into some legal trouble. He needed money, fast. He didn't have anyone else to turn to." I just stared at her, my mouth dry. I had heard about Chris, the troubled artist, the man who had broken her heart, but who she still talked about in reverent, almost pained tones. He was her big project, and she had sold my ring, our ring, to save him. "You sold the ring," I said, the words now flat, hollow. "The ring I bought to propose to you. You sold it for him." She walked over to me, her hands outstretched in a pleading gesture. She was already practicing her grand, emotional monologue. "I know you don't understand, but he needed me," she said, her voice rising in a plea. "You'll never get it because you've never had to be saved. You're too easy to love. He's difficult, and I wanted to be the one to finally rescue him. Her words weren't a plea for forgiveness. They were a condemnation of me. My stability, my kindness, my love. It was all worthless to her because it was too simple, too easy. She saw my life as a comfortable box, and she craved the chaos and drama of a man who would never love her back. She wasn't sorry. She was proud. She saw herself as a hero, and me as a spectator who just wouldn't get it. I just stood there, my mind numb. The reality of her words sunk in. My love for her, my stability, my very identity, it was all a flaw. It was all a disadvantage. I was too easy. I looked at her, truly looked at her. Her face was a mask of desperation and self-righteousness. I saw, for the first time, that she had never been with me for love. She had been with me for my safety, my stability, my savings. I was a tool, a resource she could use to fund her rescue fantasy. I was nothing more than a bank account with a heartbeat. I said nothing. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't demand she choose. I just turned around, walked to the closet, and grabbed a small duffel bag. I tossed my wallet, my phone, and my car keys into it. I didn't need anything else from that place. She watched me, her face a mixture of confusion and shock. She had expected a fight. She had expected me to get angry, to make a scene. She had expected to be the one to finally make the dramatic exit. Instead, she was just standing there, with nothing but her own twisted logic and the empty space where our future should have been. I walked to the front door, paused, and looked back at her one last time. "I don't think you're going to rescue him, Sarah," I said, my voice calm, almost a whisper. "I think you're going to lose what you just sold, and I'm not going to be here to pick up the pieces." With that, I opened the door, walked out into the cold night, and closed it behind me. She didn't call after me. She just stood there, alone in the house I had worked to provide for her, left to deal with the consequences of her choices. I spent the first few weeks after I walked out in a state of quiet, dull shock. I got a small, temporary apartment in a part of the city I never frequented. The walls were thin, the furniture was cheap, and every surface felt sterile and new. It was a far cry from the home I had helped build, the one with the soft, worn couch and the art on the walls that told a story. It was perfect. There were no ghosts of our past there. No reminders of the future that had been sold. I went to work on autopilot. I'd come home, eat a microwaved meal, and sit in silence. I didn't reach out to mutual friends. I didn't check social media. I felt like a ghost haunting a life that had ceased to exist. The pain wasn't a sharp, jagged wound. It was a deep, aching numbness. I kept replaying her words in my head. "You're too easy to love." It was a phrase that was meant to crush me, to make me feel small and unlovable. And for a while it did. But slowly, the numbness began to fade, and a strange clarity took its place. I realized that the difficult love she craved wasn't real love at all. It was drama, a twisted way of seeking validation. She wasn't a rescuer. She was an enabler. She needed someone to be broken so she could feel whole. And the most dangerous part of all was that she would have to keep finding broken people, because a healthy relationship would have left her feeling utterly irrelevant. My love wasn't easy, it was solid, and that's what she couldn't stand. With that realization, something inside me shifted. I started filling the silence. I went to the gym. I started reading the books I'd been putting off. I started cooking again, not for two, but for one, experimenting with new recipes just for the sheer pleasure of it. I even took my old camera, the one that had been gathering dust in my closet, out on weekends. I started taking pictures of the world around me, finding beauty in the mundane. I wasn't doing it to prove anything to her. I was doing it for me. I was building a new foundation, a new life, brick by quiet brick. About 6 months after I left, I got a text from a mutual friend, Jessica. She had always been closer to Sarah, so I was surprised she was reaching out. "Mark," she wrote, "I know things have been messy, but you need to know. Sarah's a mess. He disappeared." I didn't respond. I didn't feel anything. I put the phone down, took a deep breath, and went back to the novel I was reading. But a few hours later, my phone rang. It was Jessica again. I hesitated, then answered. "Mark? Thank God. You're not answering her calls." "No," I said, my voice flat. "I'm not." "Listen," she said, her voice low. "It's worse than you think. The whole thing with Chris? The legal trouble? It was all fake. It was a scam. He's a professional con artist. He's got a string of arrest warrants in other states. He told her he needed the money to hire a lawyer, but he just used it to skip town and disappear. The cops came to her place looking for him. I felt no satisfaction, no joy, just a cold, hard sense of irony. She had sold our future for a lie, and the lie had left her with nothing. Jessica continued, her voice full of a weary kind of pity. He was with other women, too. He was running the same story on all of them. He used her, Mark. He took everything he could and just vanished. And now she's facing the legal heat because he used her accounts. She can't pay the lawyer, and she can't get any of her money back. I just listened. I didn't comment. I didn't offer sympathy. She had made her bed, and now she was lying in it. Her family won't help her, Jessica said. They're tired of bailing her out. They told her this was her rescue project, and she needed to deal with the consequences on her own. And all her friends, they're talking. Everyone knows what she did with the ring. They're all siding with you. She's completely alone. I thanked Jessica for telling me and hung up. I sat there in the quiet of my new apartment, the irony so thick I could almost taste it. Sarah, the woman who craved being a hero, who looked down on my simple, stable life, was now the one who needed saving. She had traded a love that was too easy for one that was difficult, and was left with a disaster she couldn't fix. The rescuer had become the rescued. And the man she had called easy to love was the only one who had been honest with her from the start. He was gone, and he wasn't coming back. After Jessica's call, a new wave of silence washed over me. It was no longer a hollow emptiness, but a peaceful, chosen quiet. My phone, which had remained dormant for months, now began to buzz with a relentless, maddening persistence. The first few texts were from Sarah, using a number I didn't recognize. They were pleading, full of capital letters and exclamation points. Mark, please just talk to me. I need you. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. You were right about him. I was so stupid. I didn't respond. I deleted the texts and blocked the number. Then came the calls from her friends, the ones who had silently judged my boring life while admiring her excitement. They spoke with a condescending tone, as if they were doing me a favor by asking me to forgive her. Hey Mark, it's Jessica. Look, Sarah is in a really bad place. We're all trying to help her. Can you just call her? I think you're the only one who can talk some sense into her. I remained quiet. It's not fair that you just abandoned her like that. She made a mistake. She knows that now. You should be the bigger person. I hung up without a word. Their words only confirmed what I already knew. They didn't care about me or my feelings. They just wanted me to go back to being a convenient solution to Sarah's problems, so they could go back to not having to deal with her. The most infuriating call came from her mother, Linda. She had always been cold toward me, a woman who measured a man's worth by his ambition and a woman's by her social standing. Mark, she said, her voice dripping with passive aggression. It's Linda. I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is ridiculous. You need to come home and take care of my daughter. She made a mistake, and you're punishing her for it. She thought she could help someone, and you're holding it against her? This is on you, Mark. You're the one who needs to fix this. The utter gall of it was breathtaking. I felt no rage, just a sense of profound clarity. They all saw me as a thing, not a person. A tool to be used, a convenience to be accessed, and a scapegoat to be blamed. I finally replied to her mother, not with anger, but with a simple, firm statement that would end the conversation. Linda, the only person who is responsible for Sarah's life is Sarah. She chose to sell a life of stability and comfort for an illusion. Her choices are her own responsibility, and I'm done paying for them. I hung up, blocked her number, and felt a profound sense of peace. The last of her toxic circle was gone. I was finally free. A few months later, I found myself at a get-together at a mutual friend's house. I was hesitant to go, but my friend, Alex, insisted. Everyone knows, Mark. No one's going to defend her. She's not even welcome. I had been doing well. I had a new, great job. My photography was starting to get noticed, and I had even sold a few prints. I was dating a wonderful woman named Emily. She was kind, funny, and appreciated my quiet, stable nature. She saw it as a strength, not a flaw. For the first time in years, I felt like I was with someone who truly saw me. We were in the kitchen, laughing about a bad movie we'd seen, when the door opened. A hush fell over the room. It was Sarah. She looked haggard and thin. The effortless grace she used to carry was gone, replaced by a desperate, hunted look in her eyes. Her expensive coat was stained, her hair was a mess, and she looked years older than she was. She spotted me and started walking toward me, pushing through the crowd with a single-minded purpose. The room was silent. Everyone was watching. She stopped in front of me and Emily. She glanced at Emily, then her eyes locked on mine. Mark, she said, her voice a cracked whisper. I've been trying to find you. I just looked at her, my face a blank mask of polite detachment. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was just there. I need to talk to you, she pleaded, her hands trembling. Please. I'm so sorry. I know I said terrible things. I've lost everything. I don't have anywhere to go. I took a slow sip of my beer. I didn't feel the need to rush. This was no longer her story. This was mine. That's a shame, I said, my voice even and calm. I hope you figure it out. Her eyes widened, a flash of her old self-righteous anger breaking through. You're a monster, she hissed, her voice low. I'm begging you for help and you're just standing there. You've changed. You're cold. You're right, I said, a small, humorless smile on my face. I am. You sold my ring. You sold our future. You sold my trust. You sold everything I gave you. You're the one who taught me to be this way, Sarah. I'm just reflecting the lessons you taught me. She took a step back, her face a mask of shock and shame. She had never expected me to use her own logic against her. I didn't mean it, she whimpered. The things I said, you're not too easy to love. You're not boring. You're a good man. The best man I've ever known. I finally looked her in the eye, and the kindness she had once loved so much was no longer there. You said I was too easy to love? I said, my voice low and final. You were right. I was easy to love because I made my love into a currency for you. I was a safety net. I was an easy choice because I never demanded anything in return. But you see, I'm not that man anymore. Now, I love on my terms. I give my love to someone who wants a partner, not a project. I took Emily's hand, and she squeezed it, a silent sign of support. You told me that I would never understand what it meant to be rescued. I continued, my voice so soft only she could hear it. You were wrong. Because when you walked away with that ring, you gave me a life. You freed me from being your rescue project. You saved me from a woman who would have eventually ruined me. So thank you, Sarah. You finally succeeded in rescuing someone. You rescued me. With that, I turned my back on her for good. I walked back to my friends, to my new life, to a future that was finally my own. I never looked back. The silence that followed was not one of sadness, but of a quiet, earned triumph. And in that moment, I knew I would be okay. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.